Alright, so in Asteroids mode, once you hit an asteroid field, it'll actually shrink the playable area of the screen to one screen, or the game to one screen. So instead of scrolling, when we get to the sides here, we'll just wrap around. And that makes it so that these asteroids don't leave the screen. Otherwise, defeating them is difficult, finding them all and defeating them. So it basically just turns into an asteroids minigame here. There'll be a few of these. The asteroids will have some extra special power-ups you can get, special things you can only get in these things, and then they'll, once you've defeated them, they won't restrict your movement anymore, I think. But for now, it's just every time you get into this screen, space E5, you are playing a little game of Asteroids. It's a good place to get fuel. If you run out of fuel, your ship doesn't travel that fast. It can still sort of thrust, but it's not great. And if you're on a planet with no fuel, you basically have to try and find some before you can really use the rocket mode effectively. Alright, so now I've powered up the rocket mode. I have a better rapid fire. Instead of only shooting 2 shots that move slowly, or that fire slowly, I got these green blaster bolts that fire much more rapidly, and it actually makes Asteroids game much easier. And then once we get to the red, we've got a great rapid fire. And I'll even show you. You probably won't get it in one asteroid field, but I'll show you the fully maxed out. Another thing you might notice is that when you get these rapid fire modes, you actually lose some accuracy. It creates sort of its own bullet spread. So there is a slight drawback. If you're just doing one shot, you might not be as accurate as you want. But the fact that you could just hold down the space bar and blast away means you probably don't really need to be that accurate. And if you want to take some damage and power down, you can. Alright, so I've defeated the last asteroid, and now I'm no longer locked on this screen. We can go head over to Ereshkigal, the moon. And we land. Kind of want to land right about there. And so this is sort of specially programmed to act like a lunar lander. It's got lower gravity. Doing the jump and transform trick is not advised because you're really likely to leave orbit, and then you'll have to come back in and start over. But you fall really slowly. You fall more slowly in rocket mode anyway, and all of these, the entire surface is spiky. So anywhere that isn't a fuel rezone on the surface of this moon will hurt you. And so there's basically 2 Lunar Lander games you can play. You can go to the right. Oops, that was terrible. When you land, you can go to the right, and it's longer but easier, or you can go to the left, and it's a really short stretch on the surface, but a longer stretch once you're underground, and it's also more difficult. There's actual enemies to fight as you play. There's some enemies here. Ah, that's terrible. Oh my goodness. Alright. And you can do a sort of, you can be reckless, you can be careful. I'm going to actually try and hit some of these checkpoints so that if I die, I don't have to go back as far. Yeah, you could see the bug there where the spike beetles were grabbing onto my ship and just immediately killing me. So you can do a nice Lunar Lander landing on these fuel zones, or you could just turn to robot mode and land on your feet. Transforming robot, why not? Why not use it? But, you know, if you wanted to play like a straight up Lunar Lander game here, you could. Although it's much easier than Lunar Lander. Alright, so here we've got sort of a blind fall here. Gotta be careful. About to run out of fuel. You can see that's gonna affect me, but I've got enough to land here and recharge. Here we see, ow. Here we see these vines, which are not animated yet, but you can't hurt them. you're supposed to kill these by using the sword. Once you unlock the sword, you come back and you can get, that's going to be like a max health power up. You already have max health. I haven't done playtesting to find out where the health levels should be yet, so it's kind of useless. But if you wanted to get it, you could, because there's currently a weird bug where in missile launcher mode, you hit it directly. Also a bug where the missile launcher isn't resetting its powers. Hit it directly with the missile. Not the explosion, but the missile itself. You can blow it up. So if you really, really, really want to get this, you can, but it doesn't do anything yet. But yeah, it's going to be a max health power up. All right, and here you can see this is an exit. You can't go down here, but you can come up from the bottom. Once you get the power upgrade in this level on this world, you can just shoot up and leave right away. There's no reason to make you backtrack. All right, so we're going to finish this Lunar Lander section. You can see at this part, I do have these parallax scrolling backgrounds. I don't have those in the Osiris location yet. Because I basically redid the whole planet and didn't do the details work on it yet, but I will. Here we can see some bad AI in the wasp enemies where they blow themselves up. I will fix their AI and their animations and stuff here. Currently they fly up at you if they're below you. If they're above, they fly down and shoot you with their little missiles. I'm going to rework how they work because they're not great right now and they're not that threatening. So here we've done the Lunar Lander game. Now we can go through the caverns, much more Metroidvania style. There's a pile of rocks there to give you the power-ups you need to face the caterpillars. Hopefully you don't take a lot of hits like I just did. Alright, we got away. And of course, you're faster on these fuel recharge lit zones. And here is, I'm going to put some more detail work here, which tells you much more clearly that this is your destination. Yeah, here we have the fuel upgrade. Currently, it just increases your max fuel by a lot. It was originally going to give you infinity fuel, but I kind of feel like I don't want to do that now. So there's a lot of different modes in the game that use fuel, and it makes a lot more sense if it's just, you know, like makes you use half the fuel or gives you a higher max fuel or something like that. So it's still a really good power up to have, but it's also completely optional. Right now what it does is tell you thanks for playing. It does also increase your max fuel quite a bit. And I'm going to use another cheat here to show off some of the other power-ups that aren't in the demo directly. If you hit the insert key in the demo, it'll give you some extra powers. Here we can see the jetpack, which is designed to be kind of like the balloon fight or joust flap button. And here we can see the sword, which you can cut through things. It's got a combo system. If you power up to use fireballs, it does the fireball and the sword together. Okay. And in tank mode, there's a hover. Totally, completely, maybe not optional. There'll be some places where you have to blast sideways with a charge beam. And here you can see the charge beam. You get your blue, green, red. It's faster and does more damage. And even at this low weapon upgrade level, if you charge up, you can destroy the carbonite blocks. But I'm gonna show off. There's blue, green, red, and then here we start at green, and we go to the sort of hyper beam at the end, and finally we've completely power up this mode, and we don't have to charge anymore. We're instantly fully charged and have this sort of rainbow plasma attack, which is kind of insane. All right, and we can just fly out. I'm gonna move that over slightly. You know, that kind of steals your thunder a little bit there, huh? I'm gonna move that to the left a bit. Anyway, yeah, then you're done with Ereshkigal, or you can come back later with more powers. There'll be more stuff to find there. And then you can decide where to go next. You're in space, your compass points to the different planets. I'm probably going to make that be something you have to collect to find the locator on the map. But, you know, if you fly around in an experiment, you can find it. In the demo, these other two worlds are disabled. You can fly right through them, basically. And so, basically, all you could do in space is fly between Osiris and Ereshkigal, or fly around in space and look for asteroids to fight, enemies to fight, and stuff. Oh yeah, one cool thing. So this is the rocket mode is basically what you're supposed to use to travel in space. But once you power up these other forms, when you have the jetpack, it's not great, but it still works in space. When you have the hover mode, you can only fire upwards, but it still works in space. And one thing that works right away, actually, the missile will actually fire you in the opposite direction. Well, that's interesting. The missiles are powered up, but the reload system isn't. Wacky. Okay, that's a bug. Anyway, so you can actually change your momentum by firing in the opposite direction in the missile command mode, and it lets you shoot downwards. And then, of course, there's a flying saucer, which is the one form that doesn't have weapon upgrades programmed in it yet. I've not gotten to the flying saucer content, so I haven't bothered to get the weapon upgrades, but you know, you'll get more powerful lasers. That'll be a thing you can go to. That's disabled now too. Let's just go back to Osiris. And I'll show off one last thing. We need to be in rocket mode to land. There we go. Alright, if you hit the insert key again, it gives you the rest of all the power-ups. So I'm going to use this to show you the death ray. So the weapon upgrade system doesn't matter for this, but this gives you two of the missile power-ups. One is that giant explosion. You'll be able to get missiles that do that. And then a totally optional power-up is this death ray, which just basically causes an explosion wherever you hit. There's no more missile. So you actually couldn't use this to get through the vines anymore, because there's no actual missile projectile, but you can do as many of these explosions as you want. I might limit it so there's like a cooldown or something, so that there's some reason to have the weapon upgrade system. But yeah, the death ray is a lot of fun. It'll be totally optional power to find, but if you find it, you know, you can rain destruction. Yep, so that's everything I wanted to show and talk about. I will say that these slopes here, I did at some point have the ability to go up the slopes, and you go diagonally up the slope. In tank mode, I will reinstate that at some point. I had to debug some stuff, and I took it out for a little while. But you should be able to just walk into these and you'll go up them. This game uses Flixel as the base engine, and that doesn't really have good slope stuff. So, oh, here's a spot too. Here's a spot where you'll be able to go. I blocked this off for the demo. Oh, there. I also, I guess, could show you when you duck and have this special shield power up, you're completely invincible. So you're immobile, but you're invincible when you're ducking. That's one of the optional robot powers. But it's useful for some certain paths and things where you take a bunch of hits if you don't block them. All right. That's everything I wanted to talk about. So thanks again for watching, and come support the Kickstarter. All right, bye.